You are waiting for a sign, for a lucky break, for a mentor to appear, or for fate to finally swing in your favor. You are sitting there, hoping in the back of your mind that something is going to swoop in and fix it all. But here is a secret, a brutal 500-year-old secret. No one is coming. No one is going to save you. And that is the single most liberating truth you will ever hear. This is not pessimism. This is not doom and gloom. This is the foundation of real power. For centuries, we have been sold a story of knights in shining armor, of fairy godmothers, of destiny aligning to lift us up. It is a comforting lie, and it is a trap that keeps you weak, dependent, and perpetually waiting for a rescue that never arrives. Today, we dismantle that trap. We use the ruthless, clear-eyed philosophy of a man named Machiavelli, and we fuse it with the unbreakable inner strength of Stoicism. This is not about becoming a villain. This is about becoming the ultimate strategist of your own life. This is about realizing the world owes you nothing, and then building everything from that starting point. So where does this idea come from? Picture Italy in the early 1500s. It is a chaotic, violent, beautiful mess. City-states are constantly at war. Alliances shift like the wind. One day you are a prince, the next day you are in a dungeon. In this world, a diplomat and writer named Machiavelli is watching it all unfold, and he is taking very careful notes. Machiavelli saw the same patterns we see today. People hoping for a strong leader to save them. People trusting in luck or divine intervention. People believing that being good and kind was enough to guarantee success and safety. And he watched them get crushed over and over again. Their hopes were shattered. Their trust was betrayed. Their goodness was exploited. So he wrote a book, a manual really. It was called The Prince, and its core message was shocking then, and it is shocking now. He said that a leader, and by extension any person who wants power over their own life, must operate based on how the world actually is, not how we wish it would be. He called this virtue, not virtue in the moral sense, but a fierce, pragmatic excellence. Virtue is the ability to see reality without the filter of your hopes and fears. It is the strength to act decisively based on that reality. It is understanding that fortune, what we call luck, is a raging river. You cannot stop the river. You cannot wish it to change direction, but you can build dams. You can dig canals. You can learn to swim. You can prepare for the flood. This is the first major shift, from a mindset of hope to a mindset of engineering. The hopeful person sits by the riverbank and prays for calm waters. The engineer studies the current, gathers materials, and starts building. Which one has a better chance of reaching the other side? The answer is obvious, yet most of us are still on the riverbank waiting. Now, why do we wait? The reason is deep and psychological. It is the victim mindset. It is the belief that your circumstances are something that happens to you, that you are a passive character in your own story. This mindset is a poison. It tells you that your problems are caused by other people, by a bad economy, by unfair parents, by a lack of opportunities. And while those things can be very real obstacles, the victim mindset focuses entirely on the obstacle. It makes the obstacle the main character. You are just the one reacting to it. This is where Machiavelli meets Stoicism. The Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, had a simple, brutal formula. They said you must separate what is in your control from what is not. Your thoughts are in your control. Your judgments, your actions, your effort, your character. That is your empire, everything else. The weather, the past, other people's opinions, the stock market, traffic, luck, that is external territory. It is outside your borders. The victim spends all their energy trying to control the external territory. They rage against the weather. They are devastated by opinions. They are paralyzed by luck. The strategist, the person with virtue, does the opposite. They fortify their internal empire. They build walls so high that external chaos cannot penetrate their core. They focus their supreme effort only on what they can control. Their discipline, their learning, their next move. This is not about ignoring the world. It is about choosing your battlefield. And the most important battlefield is the one between your own ears. Let us talk about the biggest trap that keeps you from building this empire. Validation. The desperate, silent hunger for other people to tell you that you are good enough, smart enough, on the right path. We post, we share, we hint, we perform, all hoping for that little hit of approval. Machiavelli would call this a fatal weakness. A prince who rules based on the cheers of the crowd is not a ruler at all. He is a puppet. When you seek validation, you hand over the keys to your internal empire. You let other people decide your worth. You adjust your actions not based on your strategy, but on what you think will get applause. This makes you predictable. It makes you manipulable. It drains your energy into a bottomless pit because that hunger for approval is never, ever satisfied. There will always be someone who does not clap. So how do you break this cycle? You adopt what I call cold discipline. This is not the fiery passion of motivation. Motivation is a fickle friend. It comes and goes. Cold discipline is different. It is the quiet, non-negotiable agreement you make with yourself. It is the decision to do the work when you do not feel like it, to stick to the plan when it gets boring, to choose the right action even when no one is watching, and no one will ever praise you for it. Cold discipline is building your dam brick by brick in the freezing rain. It is studying when you are tired. It is saving money when you want to spend it. It is rejecting the distraction when it calls your name. It is boring. It is relentless. And it is the only thing that actually builds something that lasts. Motivation builds a sandcastle. Cold discipline builds a fortress. Now this all sounds very solitary, and it is. That is the point. But it is not about loneliness. It is about sovereignty. It is about becoming the absolute authority in your own life. This means taking radical responsibility, not for everything that happens to you, but for your response to everything that happens to you. That response is your power. That is where your freedom is. Let us make this practical. What does this look like on a Tuesday morning? It starts with a question you must ask yourself constantly. What is within my control right now? Your alarm goes off. You are tired. You cannot control your tiredness, but you can control whether you hit snooze or you put your feet on the floor. That is your first act of sovereignty. That is your first brick in the wall. You have a difficult project. You cannot control your boss's mood or the tight deadline, but you can control breaking the project into tiny steps. You can control focusing for 25 minutes without checking your phone. You can control the quality of the first draft. You focus on the brick in your hand, not the overwhelming size of the fortress wall. You face criticism. You cannot control what people say, but you can control whether you receive it as a personal attack or as potential data. You can sift through it. Is there a useful piece of information here to make me stronger? If yes, use it. If no, discard it. Do not let it live rent-free in your mind. Your internal empire has strict immigration policies. You experience a setback, a plan fails, an opportunity falls through. You cannot control that it happened, but you can control the story you tell yourself about it. The victim says, "Why does this always happen to me?" The strategist asks, "What can this teach me?" This is the shift from reacting to creating. The victim reacts to every external event. The strategist is too busy creating their own reality to be thrown off course. But here is a crucial warning. This path is not about becoming cold and emotionless. That is a misunderstanding. Stoicism is about managing emotion, not deleting it. Machiavellian virtue is about clear judgment, not heartlessness. You will still feel fear. You will still feel doubt. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to not let those feelings steer the ship. You acknowledge the storm on the water, but you keep your hand steady on the rudder. You are going to fail. You will miscalculate. Fortune's river will knock down your dam. This is guaranteed. The victim sees failure as proof they are cursed. The strategist sees failure as feedback. They study the wreckage. Why did this dam break? Was the foundation weak? Was the material poor? Did I misjudge the current? They learn, they adapt. They rebuild stronger this time. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the tuition you pay for it. Imagine this process over months, over years. As you build this internal empire, as you practice cold discipline, as you stop seeking saviors, you become less fragile. Crises that would have destroyed you before now become problems to be solved. External chaos becomes background noise. Your sense of self-worth becomes untouchable because it is built on your own actions, not other people's opinions. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop waiting for a rescue that is never, ever coming. You realize that you were the person you were waiting for all along. This is the ultimate liberation. The weight of false hope lifts, and in its place is a different weight, the solid, dependable weight of your own capability. So where do you start? You start small. You start today. Pick one tiny area of your life where you have been waiting for motivation to exercise, waiting for inspiration to write, waiting for a sign to start that project. Stop waiting. Declare sovereignty over that one area. Apply cold discipline for just 1 week, just 7 days. Build that one small wall. Watch what happens. You will feel a flicker of power, a tiny spark of self-respect that comes from keeping a promise to yourself. That spark is addictive. It is more addictive than any like or compliment because it is real. It is yours, and it cannot be taken away. That spark is the beginning of your virtue. Then expand your territory. Take on another small area, then another. Each act of cold discipline is a brick. Each moment of choosing your response over your reaction is a brick. Over time, you are not just building a wall. You are building a citadel, an unshakable inner fortress that no external event can breach. The world does not care about your dreams. It is indifferent. That sounds harsh, but that indifference is also your freedom, because it means the world is not conspiring against you either. It is just a landscape, a set of conditions. It is raw material. You are the architect. You are the engineer. Stop asking the landscape for permission to build. Just start building. This is the wake-up call, not to cynicism, but to supreme personal responsibility. Not to isolation, but to unshakable inner strength. The story of the Savior is a fairy tale for children. Your story is one of strategy, discipline, and relentless creation. Fortune's river is raging. You have been sitting on the bank long enough, hoping for calm. It is time to pick up your tools. It is time to build your dam. Because the deepest truth, the one that changes everything, is that you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to be the one who saves. You were meant to be the strategist, the engineer, the sovereign. So stop waiting. No one is coming. And that is the best news you will ever get. Now get to work.